everyone, welcome to Cupcakes. This is my pilot episode and very first recipe I'm going to be baking on the show. And so I wanted it to be fun and flavorful for you guys. So I thought about it for a while, and after watching The Godfather last night, the movie where quotes like "leave the gun and take the cannoli" come from, I have a recipe for you guys. Now, I like making cupcakes, but unfortunately cupcakes just aren't that fun. I mean, they're kind of fun, but they could be funner. And so by making them with pudding in the center, you can spruce them up a bit and make them even more tasty, even for people who don't usually like cake. So today, without further ado, we're gonna be making Spumoni cupcakes. So, for ingredients, we have your standard cake mix, because I'm a lazy butt and I don't wanna make my actual cake because I don't have time for that. But if you have time for that, you can always use your own cake recipe. But for now, we got good old Betty Crocker. Second that you will need is some vanilla icing to go on the cake. But not just any vanilla icing, we're gonna spruce it up with some maraschino cherries today. Get that cherry flavor in. The last thing you will need is some pistachio puddings to put the final touch on the Spumoni. Before getting started, make sure you have all the ingredients that lists on the box mix, or if you're making your own, make sure that you got all those. And the very first step, as it always is, to listen to Betty Crocker and preheat our ovens to 350. So now that we got all of our ingredients that Betty Crocker wants in her cake, all we gotta do is put it all in this big bowl right here. So first we got the cake mix. I'm gonna add that all in. It smells so good, you almost just want to eat it out of the bag, but I would not recommend doing that. In its powder form, it's not that fun to eat. I tried it as a kid before. And then we got our eggies. Yes, little eggs. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh. Some vegetable oil. And last but not least, our regular old clear liquid water. H2O. Right, it's time to mix this baby all up. If you have a fancy hand mixer like I do, I recommend using it, or a stand mixer. Or if you just have your plain old whisk or wooden spoon, that'll do as well. Right, this super delicious smelling chocolatey goodness is all mixed up and ready for our cupcake liners. So, because today's theme is Italian, since Spumoni is a traditional Italian ice cream, I have chosen to do the Italian flag and liners. Now, you don't have to be this extra, but I just like to be fun. Now, when filling your cupcake liners, the goal is to get about 2/3 full. Now, of course, that is definitely easier said than done with cupcakes, being as how runny the batter is. But if you get a little extra on one, like I did this one, just hand it over to the next neighbor, if they need a little bit extra. Alrighty, our cupcakes are filled, locked and loaded, and ready to go in our oven. Alrighty, so we're gonna put these in our handy dandy oven right here. Ooh, I can feel my face melting off. Whoop. Alright, and then we'll go ahead set time. Mine's 14 and 19 minutes, so I'll set it for 14. Alright, and we're going. Alrighty, so now that we got our cupcakes in the oven, I don't know about you guys, but I always like to do a little bit of a dance party while I'm waiting for whatever's cooking. So because of YouTube's copyright policy, my choice and only choice for music is music from 100 years ago. So, prepare for some ragtime goodness in 3, a 2, a 1. right, so now our delicious looking cupcakes have come out of the oven after my terrible dance moves, and we will wait for them to cool. Okay, so while we're waiting for our cupcakes to cool, we're gonna start making our pistachio pudding. So this is pretty basic. So like the instructions say, you want 2 cups of milk, which we already have in our bowl right here. And I'm gonna add this little fun packet here. Get all that goodness out. You guys can't see right now, but this is currently green. Oof, it's green, spooky. Okay, and now we mix. I have this tiny little whisk here, so it's kind of counterproductive, but it's the only one I own. Little baby whisk. I thought it was cute and tiny, so I bought it. But then I realized how much that it really doesn't prove purposeful, but that's okay. We're just gonna mix this thing for 2 minutes. It's getting thicker, getting that thickness, as the cool kids say. It is thick with 2 C's and not just one now. Oh, it's getting real thick. Oh, we're getting that pudding consistency. Alrighty. Now that our pudding is all mixed, we're gonna go ahead and put this bad boy in the fridge. So next thing that we're gonna do while we wait for our cupcakes to cool is make our cherry frosting. Now, basics of what I did here is I have about half the frosting from the jar in a bowl. Since today I'm only making 12 cupcakes, so about half the jar is for 12 cupcakes. And then I have our maraschino cherries here. Now first step is I'm going to mix a little bit of this syrup in with the frosting. Let's just pour a little bit here. Ooh, it is red. Red. Looks like blood. Spooky. It is spooky season. We're into October now. Also use this for Halloween desserts, I guess. But for now, we are going Italian with Spumoni. The OG Neapolitan, by the way. Spumoni was the original, and then when it got brought over to the US, it turned into Neapolitan with vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. But the original contained cherry, chocolate, and pistachio. It's looking good here. It's gonna be nice and pink. Next, now that we have this all mixed, we're gonna add some chopped up pieces of the maraschino cherries. All right, we are all set up to start slicing and dicing our maraschino cherries. Now for the mincing part, it doesn't have to be exact. You could just make sure they're in little chunks. So whatever, you like. If you want it bigger, you could do it bigger. You want it smaller, you could do it smaller. I'm just gonna cut them, I think, into, be like 8s. Cut them in half, cut them in 4s, and then you cut them again. Petite little pieces. Man, these are good. I love maraschino cherries. Alright, so we are done chopping up our maraschino cherries. As you can see, ooh, they look so good. And now we're going to put them in our frosting here. Chop them up nice and small so they mix better, but if you like bigger chunks, that's a-okay too. Alright. Time to get mixing here. Just going to gently blend with this fork here so we don't crush them. Good to fold it in here. Just kind of smooth it over, smooth them in. Right, that should be good for now. Now we got our maraschino cherry frosting. Alrighty, so our cupcakes are finally cool and it is time to core them and fill them with our delicious pistachio pudding over here. There's many ways to core a cupcake. I'm just going to be using your basic knife here, but they do make cupcake cores nowadays that are extra fancy schmancy, so if you have one of those, feel free to use it, but I'm doing the old-fashioned way because I'm not that high-tech. So, basics is you just take your cupcake, a regular old cupcake, and then you just want to cut kind of a hole in the center. You don't want to go too far down though. Try to go like halfway because you don't want it to go all the way through the cupcake. And then you don't want it to be too big either, just enough. So we're gonna start maybe like right there. Here, I'll bring it close so you guys can see. Just gonna cut a nice little hole. It's good to have a serrated knife too when you do this because it's easier to cut through without it getting too crumbly. Definitely don't want to get too crumbly. All right, so just gonna dig out a little core there. And we got our first cored cupcake. All right, now I'm just gonna continue coring all of these cupcakes like so. Now don't be afraid about making these perfect. What's nice is about cupcakes is since you ice them, you can just cover all your imperfections with delicious cherry icing. Also, if you've never cored cupcakes before, it does take practice. So your last ones will probably turn out better than your first ones, and that's completely normal. Not all cupcakes are created equally, but they're all very tasty. Alright, now that all your cupcakes are cored, and they look like little volcanoes, the next step is you want to make sure that the insides are all kind of like even and ready for filling. So what I usually do is I just take my fingers and I just kind of lightly smush around the inside. Just very, very lightly, just making sure that I push any extra cake crumbles out of the way of pudding so you can get maximum puddingage in each cupcake. Pretty simple. You don't really have to do it too much, you know. Just make sure that you have enough space inside each one. Alright, our cupcakes have been successfully smooshed inside, and now it is time to fill them with delicious pudding. Now, in order to make this process easier, you can either use a pastry piping bag, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove as much as I can fit of this into a Ziploc, cut off the tip of the Ziploc, and we will be ready to pipe. Alright, so now we have our DIY piping bag here, made with a Ziploc. I like to do this just because I'm too lazy to buy actual piping bags. Easy to do at home. You just snip the tip and you're ready to go. Now what's great about making this pudding for the recipe is you will always have plenty of extras. So I hope you like pistachio pudding because there will always be enough. Which could be a good thing or a bad thing, you know, because like me, I'll eat that whole thing in an instant if it's in front of my face. So, we are going to be filling these. Now, it's not the easiest thing to fill, but you just have to keep a steady hand and make sure it just goes into that hole there. It's okay if you get a little bit on the outside, you can fix that later. Do as good as you can for now. right, now that the piping is done, what you want to do is, just so it doesn't interfere with the frosting that we're going to do next, you want to try to get anything that, otherwise it's hard to get everything in the hole. So you want to just try to smooth it into the hole and smooth it out so you can get an even layer for your icing. So just any extra that likes to kind of went over the edge, just gonna tuck it down into the hole using a knife. Smooth it out. Doesn't have to be perfect because this will be hidden by the frosting, but just so it's easier to frost, this is a good thing to do. Now I know this might seem a weird flavor combo to some, but I figured if it works with ice cream, then it's bound to work with a cupcake. I haven't tried these before, but I've tried Neapolitan cupcakes before, and those were the bomb.com. So these will probably be the same. I'm going to be doing a test tasting at the end of this video, by the way, so we will know for sure at the end of the pilot. Alrighty, now all of our cupcakes are ready for the icing process. Alrighty, so now it is time for the final step in our process. We're going to be frosting these babies right here. Now, in order to frost these, so it takes a little bit of some precision because you don't want to mix the green in with our pink. So I will show you the best way to do that. We'll start with this one. Hello, little cupcake. So, first step is you want to just kind of put a mound on top. Get like a good mound here. Scooping. We're scooping. Just kind of dollop it on top. Try not to touch the cupcake when you do this, because you don't want to mix. I mean, you can. It'll still taste the same, but to be pretty as possible, just try your best to just do a big dollop. Now, in order to make this look better, after we've put a dollop on top, take the back of your spoon. I'm using a spoon here, nice and simple. And you just kind of want to spread a little bit. Spread just around. Now, because we added in the maraschino cherry syrup, it's going to be a little bit runnier now, which kind of works in our favor because then it'll just run down the side of the cupcake without you really having to worry about spreading it further. So, we're done with this one. Moving on to the next. Now, it's okay to get messy. You know, cupcakes definitely aren't clean, so no worries if it ends up dripping or anything. Right, here they are in all their yummy goodness. Now, because the icing we used had, of course, chunks of maraschino cherry, they ain't gonna be the prettiest cupcakes, but they're certainly gonna be tasty. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial of how to make these Spumoni cupcakes. Now, of course, I wanna try one, make sure they're good for you guys, because, man, they look delicious. So, let's give it a go. Make this delicious one right here. You can really taste the cherry in the icing. Oh man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, this right here is a success if I do say so myself. Oh. All right, man, that cupcake was so good. I was gonna give those to my coworkers tomorrow, but well, if they don't see them, then well, they won't know any different. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I can't wait for the next one. Not really sure what I'm gonna make yet, but it is spooky season, so you might see a Halloween video coming soon. I do like to make spooky treats. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos for my channel and have a great day. Bye!